Good morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Genome BC's 2022 Genomics Forum. My name is Pascal Spadhelfer. I'm the President and CEO of Genome British Columbia. We are broadcasting this morning from downtown Vancouver on the traditional, ancestral and unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, the Musqueam, Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations who have been custodians of this land for thousands of years. We debated whether to return to an in-person format for this year, but decided to play it safe and go virtual again. The benefit of this format is that it allows us to reach far in our search to bring you outstanding speakers and panelists, and I'm really delighted by the lineup today. Last year we focused on healthcare by looking at genomics and COVID-19. This year we shift to agri-foods and natural resources. What remains constant is that we are concerning ourselves with an emergency. Not the pandemic that surprised us all in early 2020, but the climate emergency that has been years in the making and is no surprise, but is now a global emergency of enormous proportions. In both cases, genomics plays an important role. As we continue to fund and manage a portfolio of projects that apply the power of genomics to pressing societal and economic challenges, our scope is expanding to include innovation, developing new programs and supporting projects through a purposeful approach that nurtures specific outcomes to meet needs and demands that provide benefits to society. We have an amazing day ahead of us. We will look at food security and how to feed the world in a changing climate. We will dive into the blue economy, including the future of BC fisheries, aquaculture and the role algae may play. We will tackle the circular bioeconomy where waste is not a leftover but an input. And finally discuss the importance of biodiversity through the lens of climate change. COVID-19 has shown what we can do when we mobilize the power of science, focus, collaborate and holistically work as one community. My hope is that we have learned from this experience and will apply the learnings to the existential climate change emergency. We hope you enjoy the day ahead and look forward to engaging and learning with you. It is now my pleasure to introduce Genome BC's Chief Scientific Officer and VP Sectors, Dr. Federica Di Palma, who will provide context for the program ahead of us.
Thank you, Pascal, and good morning to everyone, and welcome to our annual Genomic Forum. It's clear that our human footprint on the planet has caused a devastating effect, has degraded and fragmented diverse habitats, and with that has driven an unstable climate and changes throughout the globe. In BC alone, in 2017, 2018, 2021, the worst fire seasons have been experienced. In 2020, of course, the entirety of the world came to grip with our current pandemic, and we are still trying to deal with it. In 2021, BC experienced the most extreme heat wave ever recorded globally. And in the same year, the most devastating floods in the province, in the history, in fact, of the province, degrading agriculture and infrastructure. So it is clear that we are in a climate emergency, and it is clear that we are bearing the impact of such climate change year after year. So today in our sessions, we are going to explore a little bit more the urgency of these issues. We're going to touch base on our agriculture, our blue economy, our circular bioeconomy approach and its sustainability, as well as our biodiversity. These climate changes are really threatening our livelihood every day. In doing so, they are threatening our biodiversity, which is so important for our livelihood and for our ecosystem services. We are already entered a sixth mass extinction. They are threatening our agricultural productivity and making our food supplies very vulnerable. And of course, as underscored by this pandemic, they are allowing for the emergence of new viruses and new infectious diseases, which are also devastating. And this is causing a shift in emphasis from productivity to adaptability and mitigation. but also to using more sustainable approaches, such as the circular bioeconomy approach, which really sees the utilization and conversion of biomaterials from our ecosystems, such as the forest, the oceans, our agricultural land, converted into sustainable bioproducts. These climate changes are also driving a transition, an important one, and that is the transition to innovation and technology, to try and aid efforts in finding solutions. And today, through our sessions in the Genomic Forum, we are going to explore the opportunities for genomic technologies, because it's clear that already climate change is driving genomic data expansion. And this is going to be extremely important to turn our focus into being less reactive and more anticipatory with regard to adaptability and mitigation, but also with our ability to form predictive models in order to build more resilient ecosystem and inform management decisions for the future. So we are going to take a deep dive, but we are going to do so using a very different approach, an approach that has now been highlighted and underscored to be necessary for tackling global challenges such as climate emergency, and that is by bringing multidisciplinarity to our discussions. In each of the sessions today, we are going to hear from a diverse group of expertise. We are conscious that in our fight against this climate emergency, scientific knowledge, it's not enough. It's foundational, it's pivotal, but it's not enough. And we need to include indigenous and community knowledge, as well as a deep understanding of the socioeconomic, cultural, and political issues around the context. Importantly, we also need public support and citizen engagement. So I'm really excited for today, and more so, I like to say that in order to see some call to action, we need investments. And I am happy to be representing Genome BC and the genomic enterprise in the commitment towards these investments in genomic to tackle and respond to our climate challenges. And it is fitting, in fact, that today our genomic enterprise is announcing the launch of their first climate genomic interdisciplinary initiative with a focus particularly on food system and sustainability. So it is fitting that our first session today is moderated by Dr. David Shirade, and is going to be focused, in fact, on an agri-smart theme, feeding the world in a changing climate. So I really hope you enjoy this genomic forum, and I really hope that today's can galvanize this public support towards our fight against climate change. Over to you, David.